He walked into that emergency room for stitches and walked out a father to 4-year-old twins he never knew existed. One glance at a hospital wristband shattered everything Ethan Cole thought he knew about his life, his past, and the woman he once loved and lost. She had tried to tell him. She had reached out. But someone made sure he never got the message, and now 6 years of silence stood between them like a wall of broken trust. The boys had his eyes, his smile, and no idea who he was. Could a man who built an empire from nothing learn to build a family from the wreckage of the past? Or would his fear of failure destroy the second chance he never thought he'd get? If you're watching this, hit subscribe and tell me what city you're watching from, because this story is just beginning. The motorcycle roared beneath Ethan Cole as he wove through afternoon traffic. His jaw was tight. His fingers gripped the handlebars harder than they should. "Mr. Cole, we need your signature by Friday or the deal falls through." The client's voice still echoed in his head from the phone call 10 minutes ago. Another demand, another fire to put out. Another weekend he'd spend in his condo staring at contracts instead of living his life. Ethan was 30 years old. He'd built his investment firm from nothing. He had money most people only dreamed about. But today, right now, all he felt was trapped. The light ahead turned yellow. He should slow down. He didn't. A delivery truck lurched into the intersection from the right. Ethan saw it too late. His brain screamed at his hands. He yanked the handlebars hard to the left. The bike skidded. Tires shrieked against asphalt. The world tilted and blurred. Then he hit the ground. Pain exploded across his forehead. The street was rough and hot against his palms. His heart hammered in his chest. For a few seconds, he couldn't think, couldn't breathe. People were shouting. Footsteps pounded toward him. "Are you okay?" "Someone call an ambulance. He's bleeding, look at his head." Ethan pushed himself up to sitting. His vision swam. He touched his forehead, and his fingers came back red. "I'm fine," he muttered. His voice sounded far away. A woman crouched beside him. She had kind eyes and a grocery bag still clutched in her hand. "You're not fine. That's a bad cut. You need stitches." "I don't need. You need stitches," she repeated firmly. "My brother's a paramedic." "I know what I'm looking at," 2 other people agreed. A man in a suit, a teenager with a skateboard. They all stared at him with concern that felt suffocating. Ethan wanted to argue. He wanted to get back on his bike and ride away. But blood dripped into his left eye and the world tilted again when he tried to stand. "Fine," he said. The woman smiled with relief. "Good. I'll drive you to the ER. It's 5 minutes from here." The emergency room smelled like antiseptic and stress. Ethan sat in a plastic chair in the triage area, holding an intake, form he hadn't filled out yet. His head throbbed. A nurse had given him gauze to press against the cut, but it was already soaked through. The ER was busy. A kid cried somewhere down the hall. Phones rang. Doctors called out orders. Everything moved fast. Ethan hated hospitals. They reminded him of his mother's last days. Sterile rooms, beeping machines. The feeling that control was slipping through your fingers. He closed his eyes and tried to breathe. "Sir." He looked up. A nurse stood in front of him. She was in her early 30s with sharp eyes and box braids pulled into a ponytail. Her name tag said Jessa. "You're Ethan Cole?" she asked. "Yeah. Let me see that cut." She leaned down and gently moved the gauze aside. Her expression tightened. "Okay. Yeah. You definitely need stitches. Come with me and we'll get you into a room." Ethan stood. His legs felt shaky, but he steadied himself. Jessa grabbed a tablet and started walking. He followed her through a set of double doors into the treatment area. She gestured to a small room on the left. "Have a seat on the bed. Someone will be with you shortly." "How long is shortly?" She gave him a look that said you and everyone else want to know. "Could be 10 minutes. Could be 30. Depends on what comes through those doors. Just sit tight." She turned to leave but paused. She was holding something. A stack of papers and a couple of plastic wristbands. "Oh, wait. Here." She thrust them toward him. "These must be yours." They were on the chair. Ethan frowned. "I don't think." "Just hold on to them for a second." "Let me check." She walked to the nurse's station, tapped on the computer, then looked back at him with confusion. "Huh, that's weird." "What?" "These wristbands aren't yours. They're for the twins coming in." She walked back and took the papers but left the wristbands in his hand. "Sorry about that. Someone must have mixed things up." Ethan glanced down at the thin plastic bands. His heart stopped. The first wristband was light blue. It had a name printed on it in small black letters. Landon Wells' father, Ethan Cole. He blinked. His brain refused to process what he was seeing. There had to be a mistake. He looked at the second wristband. Same light blue, different name. Luke Wells, father, Ethan Cole. The room tilted. What the hell? His voice came out hoarse. Jessa was already halfway down the hall. He stood abruptly and his head spun. Hey, wait, she turned. Yeah? Ethan held up the wristbands. His hand shook. Why is my name on these? Jessa squinted. Then her eyes widened. Oh no. I'm so sorry, that was definitely a mix-up. Why does it say I'm the father? His voice was louder now. People were starting to look. Sir, I don't know. Let me grab the right paperwork and figure out. The automatic doors at the entrance slid open with a soft hiss. Ethan's gaze snapped toward the sound. A woman walked in carrying two small boys. She was beautiful, brown skin, natural. Curls pulled back into a low bun. She wore scrubs and sneakers and looked exhausted in a way that ran deeper than one long shift. The boys clung to her. They were maybe 4 years old, identical, blonde hair, blue eyes. One of them was crying softly into her shoulder. Ethan couldn't move because he knew her. He knew her face, her eyes, the exact way she tilted her head when she was worried. Amara. Dr. Amara Wells, the woman he'd loved 6 years ago, the woman who'd vanished from his life without explanation. She was here, and she was holding two little boys who looked exactly like him. Amara froze the second she saw him. Her eyes went wide. Her mouth parted like she wanted to speak but couldn't find the words. The boy on her left hip squirmed. Mama, I want to go home. I know, baby. Just a few more minutes. Her voice was soft but strained. She looked at Ethan again, then at Jessa, then back at Ethan. What are you doing here? She asked quietly. Ethan's mouth was dry. I had an accident. I needed stitches. His gaze dropped to the boys. Up close, the resemblance was impossible to ignore. They had his nose, his chin, his exact shade of blue eyes. Why is my name on their wristbands? The question came out sharper than he meant it to. Amara's face went pale. What? Jessa stepped between them, hands up like she was calming two wild animals. Okay. Let's all take a breath. This is clearly some kind of administrative error. Doctor. Wells, let me get you and the boys into a room. Mr. Cole, you go back to your room. We'll sort this out. No. Ethan's voice was hard. I want an answer. Right now, Ethan. Amara's voice broke. She looked around at the people watching, the other patients, the staff. Not here. Please. The boy on her right hip, the one who wasn't crying, stared at Ethan with open curiosity. Who's that, Mama? He asked. Amara's jaw tightened. She kissed the top of his head. Just someone Mama used to know. Used to know, Ethan felt. Something crack open inside him. Amara, what the hell is going on? Mr. Cole. Jessa's tone was firm now, authoritative. You need to calm down or I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I'm not going anywhere until someone explains why my name is on those kids' wristbands. Amara closed her eyes. When she opened them again, there were tears on her lashes. Come with me, she said quietly. We'll talk, but not out here. The consultation room was small, bare walls, a desk, 3 chairs, a box of tissues on the counter. Amara set the boys down gently. The one who'd been crying had stopped, but his face was still red and blotchy. The other one immediately went to the corner where a small bin of toys sat. Landon, Luke, play over here for a minute, okay? Mama needs to talk to this man. Why? The bolder one asked. Ethan guessed that was Luke, because Mama said so. Her tone was gentle but final. Luke shrugged and joined his brother at the toy bin. Amara turned to face Ethan. She crossed her arms over her chest like she was holding herself together. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They're mine, Ethan said. It wasn't a question. Amara nodded. Yes, the room spun. Ethan reached for the back of a chair to steady himself. How when? His voice cracked. Amara, what the hell happened? You disappeared. You just vanished. I looked for you. I called. I tried to find you online. You were gone. I know. Her voice was barely above a whisper. So you left. You were pregnant, and you never told me. I tried to tell you." Tears spilled down her cheeks now. She didn't bother wiping them away. "I tried, Ethan." "No, no, you didn't. I never got a call, never got a message, nothing. I sent you an email," she said. Her voice was stronger now, firmer. "2 days after I found out, I explained everything. I told you I was pregnant. I told you I wanted to talk. I waited for you to respond." Ethan stared at her. "I never got an email. I sent it to the address you always used, your university account. I graduated that spring. They shut down my student email." Amara's face crumpled. "I didn't know that. Did you try anything else? Did you call?" "I tried your phone. It said the number was disconnected. I changed my number after I started the business. Too many people had the old one." They stood there, staring at each other, the weight of 6 years pressing down on them. "I looked for you on social media," Amara said. "I sent messages. No response." Ethan frowned. "I deleted all my accounts that summer. I was trying to focus. I didn't want distractions." "So you never saw anything?" Her voice was hollow now. "You never knew?" "No." The word felt like broken glass in his throat. "I didn't know." Landon looked up from the toy bin. "Mama, are you sad?" Amara wiped her face quickly. "Mama's okay, baby. Keep playing." But her hands were shaking. Ethan dragged a hand through his hair. Pain shot through his forehead where the cut was. He barely felt it. "They're 4?" he asked. "Yeah, they just turned 4 in August. And you've been raising them alone this whole time." "I had help. My mom was there for the first year. Friends, neighbors. But no father." She met his eyes. "No, no father." The silence was suffocating. Ethan looked at the boys again. Landon was stacking blocks carefully. Luke was making a toy car crash into things. They looked happy, safe, loved. But they didn't know who he was. "Do they?" He swallowed hard. "Do they know about me?" Amara shook her head. "I told them their dad wasn't around, that he didn't know about them. I didn't give them details. They're too young, so they think I just abandoned you, Ethan. That's what they'll think, isn't it, when they're older? They'll think I walked away. I don't know what they'll think." Her voice was tight with exhaustion. "I've done my best. That's all I could do." Ethan pressed the heels of his hands against his eyes. He wanted to scream. He wanted to punch the wall. He wanted to rewind 6 years and do everything differently. "I need a minute," he said. Amara nodded. "Okay." He turned toward the door but stopped. "Why are they here?" "In the ER. Luke has an ear infection. Landon fell at the park and might need a couple stitches on his knee. Nothing serious. But you brought them here. Where you work." "I'm on shift." It was easier. Ethan looked at her, really looked at her, the dark circles under her eyes, the way her scrubs hung a little loose on her frame. The tiredness etched into every line of her face. She'd been carrying this alone for 4 years. "I'm sorry," he said. Amara blinked. "For what?" "For not being there. Even though I didn't know. I'm sorry." Her face softened just a little. "It's not your fault. It feels like my fault, Ethan." Luke suddenly ran over and grabbed her leg. "Mama, I'm hungry." She crouched down and smoothed his hair. "I know, sweetie. We'll get food soon. Can we get chicken? Nuggets?" "Maybe." Luke grinned and ran back to the toys. Ethan watched the exchange. Something in his chest broke open. "I want to be involved," he said. Amara stood slowly. "What?" "I want to be part of their lives. I want to know them. Ethan." She looked scared now, guarded. "You can't just walk in and—" "I'm not walking away." His voice was steady, final. "I missed 4 years. I'm not missing anymore." Amara wrapped her arms around herself again. "This isn't simple. I know. They don't know you. You're a stranger to them. Then let me change that." She studied him for a long time. He could see her mind working, weighing the risks, calculating the damage he could do if he left again. "I need time to think," she said finally. "Okay. And if we do this, if you're really serious, it has to be on my terms. Slow. Supervised. I'm not throwing you into their lives and letting you hurt them. I understand. Do you?" Her eyes were fierce now, protective. "Because these are my boys, Ethan. They're my whole world. If you're going to do this, you have to be all in, not halfway. not just when it's convenient. All in. I will be. I need more than words. Then let me prove it. They stared at each other. The air between them was heavy with 6 years of silence and pain and missed chances. Finally, Amara nodded. Come to my apartment tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. We'll talk more. Make a plan. Okay. She pulled a pen from her pocket and grabbed a sticky note from the desk. She scribbled an address and handed it to him. Don't be late, she said. I won't. Jessa knocked on the door and poked her head in. Dr. Wells? We've got a room ready for the boys. Thanks, Jessa. Amara turned to the twins. Come on, guys. Let's go. Luke ran over immediately. Landon followed more slowly, still holding a toy car. As they walked past Ethan, Landon stopped. He looked up with wide, curious eyes. Then he reached out and touched Ethan's hand. The contact was brief, feather-light. But it hit Ethan like a freight train. Come on, Landon, Amara said gently. The boy pulled his hand back and followed his mother out the door. Ethan stood alone in the consultation room. His legs felt weak. His heart pounded so hard it hurt. He looked down at his hand, the one Landon had touched, and something inside him shattered and rebuilt itself all at once. He had sons, 2 of them, and somehow he had to figure out how to be their father. The drive back to his condo was a blur. Ethan didn't remember getting in his car, didn't remember the route he took, didn't remember parking in the garage. He walked into his apartment and stood in the middle of the living room, staring at nothing. Everything looked different now. The sleek furniture, the floor-to-ceiling windows, the expensive art on the walls. It all felt empty. He pulled out his phone and called Mark Benson, his business partner, his only real friend. Mark picked up on the second ring. Hey man, how'd the meeting go? I need you to come over. What? Now? Yeah. Ethan, it's almost 8. I'm about to eat dinner. Mark, Ethan's voice cracked. I need you, please. There was a pause. Then, okay. I'll be there in 15. Mark showed up 12 minutes later. He was tall and solid with dark hair and an easygoing smile that usually made Ethan feel calmer. Tonight, nothing could calm him. What's going on? Mark asked as soon as Ethan opened the door. You look like hell. I have kids. Mark stared at him. What? I have kids. Twin boys. They're 4 years old. Ethan, what are you talking about? Ethan told him everything. The accident, the ER, the wristbands, Amara, the boys. Mark listened without interrupting. When Ethan finished, Mark sank onto the couch and rubbed his face. Okay, he said slowly. Okay. That's a lot. Yeah. And you're sure they're yours? I saw them, Mark. They look exactly like me. But you didn't know? She never told you? She tried. I just never got the messages. Mark let out a long breath. So what are you going to do? I don't know. Ethan sat down beside him. She said I could see them tomorrow. We're going to make a plan. That's good. That's a start. I don't know how to be a dad. Nobody does at first. I don't even know them. They don't know me. What if I screw this up? Then you figure it out and try again. Mark's voice was firm. But you can't run, man. You can't walk away from this. I'm not going to. Good, because those kids deserve better than that. Ethan leaned forward and buried his face in his hands. I'm terrified. That's normal. What if she won't let me be part of their lives? She said you could come over tomorrow, didn't she? Yeah, then she's giving you a chance. Don't waste it. Ethan nodded. He wanted to believe that. He wanted to believe he could fix this, but doubt gnawed at him. He'd spent the last 6 years building a business, chasing deals, working 80-hour weeks. He didn't know how to slow down. He didn't know how to put someone else first, but he had to learn, because those boys, Landon and Luke, they were his sons, and he wasn't going to let them grow up thinking he didn't care. Ethan barely slept that night. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment from the hospital. Amara's face, the boy's eyes, the wristbands in his hand. He thought about the life she'd been living, single mother, ER resident, raising 2 kids on her own, and he'd been living in luxury, completely unaware. Guilt sat heavy on his chest. At 6 in the morning, he gave up on sleep and got up. He made coffee, paced the apartment, checked the clock every 5 minutes. 10 o'clock felt like a lifetime away. Finally, at 9:30, He got in his car and drove. Amara's apartment complex was older, modest. The kind of place where kids rode bikes in the parking lot and neighbors knew each other's names. Ethan parked and sat in his car for a moment. He stared at the building. This was it. This was where his sons lived. He got out and walked to the entrance. A woman was watering plants near the front steps. She was in her 50s with graying hair and a sharp, watchful expression. "Can I help you?" she asked. "I'm here to see Dr. Wells. Apartment 2B. The woman's eyes narrowed. "And you are?" "A friend." She didn't look convinced. "Uh-huh. Does Amara know you're coming?" "Yes, because she's got those babies up there and I keep an eye out for them." "That's good." Ethan tried to smile. "I'm glad she has people looking out for her." The woman studied him a moment longer, then shrugged. "All right. But I'm watching." "Understood." He walked inside and climbed the stairs to the second floor. His heart pounded harder with every step. He found 2B and knocked. Footsteps on the other side. A pause. Then the door opened. Amara stood there in jeans and a soft yellow sweater. Her hair was down. She looked less exhausted than last night, but still guarded. "You're on time," she said. "I said I would be." She stepped aside. "Come in." Ethan walked into the apartment. It was small but warm. Toys were scattered across the living room floor. Drawings covered the fridge. A stack of laundry sat on the couch, half folded. It was lived in, real, loved. "The boys are in their room." Amara said. "They're playing. I didn't tell them you were coming." "Okay." She gestured to the kitchen table. "Sit. We need to talk first." Ethan sat. Amara poured 2 mugs of coffee and sat across from him. For a moment, they just looked at each other. "I didn't sleep last night," Amara said quietly. "I kept thinking about what you said, about wanting to be involved. I meant it. I know you did, in that moment. But this isn't about one moment, Ethan. This is about the rest of their lives. I know. Do you?" She leaned forward. "Because you have a business, you travel, you work all the time. How are you going to make space for 2 4-year-olds? "I'll figure it out. That's not good enough." Her words stung, but he knew she was right. "You're right," he said. "I need a plan. I need to show you I'm serious." Amara's shoulders relaxed just a fraction. "What are you thinking?" "I'll start slow, like you said. Supervised visits. A couple times a week. We can build from there. And if it gets hard, if they have tantrums or get sick or need you at 3 in the morning, then I'll be there." She studied him, searching for cracks, for doubt. "Why now?" she asked. "Why do you care now?" "Because I know now." His voice was raw. "Amara, I didn't walk away from you. I didn't abandon them. I didn't know. But if you had known back then, would you have stayed?" The question hung between them. Ethan thought about who he'd been 6 years ago, fresh out of college, hungry to prove himself, terrified of failure. He wanted to say yes, he wanted to believe he would have stepped up, but he didn't know. "I don't know," he admitted. "I was different then, younger, more selfish." Amara nodded slowly. "At least you're honest. But I'm here now, and I want to do this right." She took a sip of coffee. "If we do this, there are rules. Okay, you don't make promises you can't keep. If you say you'll be somewhere, you show up. No excuses." "Agreed." "You don't undermine me. I'm their mother. I know what's best for them." "Agreed. And if this gets too hard, if you decide it's not worth it, you tell me before you disappear. You don't just vanish. They don't deserve that. I won't disappear. Promise me." "I promise." Amara set down her mug. She looked toward the hallway where the boys' laughter drifted out. "They're good kids," she said softly. "They're smart and funny and so full of energy. But they're also fragile. They ask about their dad sometimes. They see other kids with fathers and they wonder why they don't have one." Ethan's throat tightened. "What do you tell them?" "I tell them their dad loves them but couldn't be here. I tell them it's complicated." "Do they believe you?" "I don't know. They're 4. They don't really understand yet." "Can I meet them?" Ethan asked. "Really meet them, not just a glimpse in the ER." Amara hesitated. Then she stood. "Okay, but let me talk to them first." She walked down the hallway and disappeared into a room. Ethan heard her voice, soft and reassuring. The boys' voices answered, bright and curious. A minute later, she came back, and behind her, two small boys with blonde hair and blue eyes walked into the kitchen. They stared at Ethan. Ethan stared back. "Landon, Luke," Amara said gently. "This is Mr. Ethan. He's someone Mama used to know. He wanted to meet you." Luke stepped forward immediately. "Hi, Ethan said. His voice came out rough. Landon stayed behind his brother, watching quietly. "Why do you want to meet us?" Luke asked. Ethan glanced at Amara. She gave him a small nod. "Because," Ethan said carefully, "your mum is important to me, and that makes you important to me." Luke seemed to accept this. "Do you like dinosaurs?" Yeah, I do. I have a T. Rex. Wanna see?" "Sure." Luke ran back down the hall. Landon lingered a moment longer, his gaze still on Ethan. "It's okay," Amara whispered to him. "He's nice." Landon didn't respond. But he didn't run away either. Luke came barreling back with a plastic dinosaur. "Look! It roars and everything." He demonstrated by making the loudest roaring sound Ethan had ever heard. Ethan smiled, a real smile. "That's awesome. You can hold it if you want." Luke held out the dinosaur. Ethan took it carefully, like it was made of glass. "Thanks. Do you have toys?" Luke asked. "Not really." "That's sad." Ethan laughed. It surprised him. "Yeah, I guess it is." Landon finally spoke. His voice was soft and unsure. "Are you going to stay?" The question hit Ethan harder than anything else that had happened in the last 24 hours. "Yeah," he said. "I'm going to stay." Landon nodded. Then he walked over and sat on the floor near Ethan's feet. It was the smallest gesture, but it meant everything. Amara watched from the doorway, her arms crossed, her expression unreadable. And for the first time since the accident, Ethan felt something other than panic. He felt hope. 2 days later, Ethan showed up at Amara's apartment at exactly 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He'd texted her that morning to confirm the time. She'd replied with a simple, "Okay," and nothing else. He knocked on the door and waited. His palms were sweaty. He'd changed his shirt 3 times before leaving his condo. Amara opened the door. She wore yoga pants and an old college sweatshirt. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. She looked tired but softer than she had 2 days ago. "Hi," she said. "Hi. Come in. The boys are excited. They've been asking about you." Something warm spread through Ethan's chest. "Really?" "Yeah." Luke told his preschool teacher that a man with a motorcycle came to visit. "Apparently, that's very cool." Ethan smiled. "I didn't know they knew about the motorcycle. You mentioned it when they asked what happened to your forehead." He'd forgotten that. The stitches above his eyebrow were healing well but still visible. "Mr. Ethan." Luke came running from the hallway. He wore a superhero cape that dragged behind him. "You came back." "I told you I would. Can we go to the park?" Amara stepped in. "Luke, we talked about this. Mr. Ethan is going to visit here first. Then maybe we'll go to the park." Luke's face fell, but he nodded. "Okay." Landon appeared behind him. He didn't run. He walked slowly, still holding a toy car in one hand. "Hi, Landon," Ethan said gently. Landon looked at his mother. She smiled and nodded. That seemed to give him permission. "Hi," Landon said quietly. "What are you playing with?" Landon held up the car. "Race car. That's cool. Can I see?" Landon hesitated. Then he walked over and handed Ethan the car. Ethan examined it carefully. "This is a nice one. Does it go fast?" "Really fast," Landon whispered. "Maybe you can show me later." Landon nodded and took the car back. Amara gestured to the couch. "Sit. I'll get you something to drink. Water? Coffee?" "Water's fine." She disappeared into the kitchen. The boys immediately climbed onto the couch next to Ethan. Luke sat so close their legs touched. Landon left a small gap between them. "Do you have a job?" Luke asked. "Yeah, I do." "What do you do?" "I help people with their money. I make sure they save it and use it the right way." Luke wrinkled his nose. "That sounds boring." Ethan laughed. "Sometimes it is. Mama's a doctor. She helps sick people." "I know. That's a really important job." "She's the best doctor," Luke said proudly. "I believe that." Amara came back with a glass of water. She sat in the chair across from them and watched. "Mama, can Mr. Ethan play cars with us?" Luke asked. If he wants to. Luke looked at Ethan hopefully. Do you? Wanna? Sure. The boys jumped off the couch and ran to get their cars. Ethan moved to sit on the floor. Amara stayed in her chair, coffee mug in hand. For the next hour, Ethan played with the boys. They raced cars across the carpet. They built a tower out of blocks and then knocked it down. Luke talked non-stop. Landon spoke less but smiled more. At one point, Landon sat directly next to Ethan, not touching, but close. Ethan caught Amara watching them. Her expression was complicated, guarded, but something else too, something softer. "Okay, boys," she said eventually. "Mr. Ethan has been here a while. We should let him go home." "No," Luke protested. "He just got here. It's been over an hour, buddy. But we didn't go to the park yet." Amara looked at Ethan. "You don't have to. I can take them," Ethan said. "If you want. I mean, if you come with us." She hesitated. "You sure?" "Yeah. Okay. Let me get their shoes." The park was 3 blocks away. It had swings and slides and a sandbox that looked like it needed fresh sand. Luke ran ahead immediately. Landon held Amara's hand and walked slower. Ethan walked beside them. The afternoon sun was warm. People were everywhere. Families, couples, dog walkers. It felt normal, almost peaceful. "Luke, stay where I can see you," Amara called. Luke waved from the swings. "I know, Mama." Landon tugged her hand. "Can I go too?" "Yeah, baby. Be careful." He let go and ran after his brother. Amara and Ethan stood by a bench, watching. "They're good kids," Ethan said. "They are. You've done an amazing job with them." Amara glanced at him. "Thank you. I mean it. I can see how much they love you, how safe they feel." Her jaw tightened. "I did what I had to do. I know. I want you to know I see it." She didn't respond, but her shoulders relaxed a little. Luke called from the swings. "Mr. Ethan, push me." Ethan looked at Amara. She nodded. He walked over and gave Luke a gentle push. The boy squealed with delight. "Higher. I don't know if your mum wants me to push you higher. She won't mind. Right, Mama?" Amara smiled despite herself. "Just don't launch him into the sky." Ethan pushed a little harder. Luke laughed so loud other kids turned to look. Landon appeared next to Ethan. "Can you push me too?" "Of course." Ethan moved to the second swing. He pushed both boys, keeping a steady rhythm. They laughed and shouted and begged for more. Amara watched from the bench. She pulled out her phone and took a picture. When the boys finally got tired, they ran to the slide. Ethan walked back to Amara. "They have a lot of energy," he said, slightly out of breath. "Yeah, welcome to parenting." He sat down beside her. "How do you do this every day?" "You just do. You don't have a choice." "Still, it's impressive." She looked at him, really looked at him. "Why are you really doing this, Ethan?" "What do you mean?" "You have a whole life, a business, money, freedom. You could have walked away, pretended you never saw those wristbands. Why didn't you?" Ethan watched the boys climbing the slide. "Because they're mine. And because," he paused, "because I lost you once. I'm not losing them too." Amara's breath caught. "Ethan, I know this is complicated. I know I can't just show up and fix 6 years in a couple of days. But I'm not going anywhere, Amara. I promise." She looked down at her hands. "Promises are easy to make. Then watch me keep it." They went back to the park 2 days later, and 3 days after that. Ethan started showing up consistently, every other afternoon, always on time, always ready to play. He learned their routines: snack time at 4, bath time at 7, stories before bed at 8. He learned their preferences. Luke liked dinosaurs and loud noises. Landon liked puzzles and being read to. He learned how to navigate Amara's boundaries. Don't overstep. Don't make big decisions without asking. Don't promise things he couldn't deliver. It was slow, careful, but it was working. One afternoon, a week and a half after that first visit, Ethan brought snacks. He'd asked Amara what the boys liked. She'd given him a short list: crackers, apple slices, cheese sticks. He showed up with all 3. "Mr. Ethan brought snacks," Luke shouted when he saw the bag. "Can I have some?" Landon asked shyly. "Of course." Ethan opened the bag and handed out the food. The boys sat on the floor and munched happily. Amara appeared from the kitchen. She saw the snacks and froze. "Ethan, what kind of crackers are those?" Cheese crackers. Why? Her face went pale. Did you check the ingredients? What? No. She grabbed the box from the bag. Her hands shook as she read the label. Oh my God. What's wrong? These have peanut oil. Landon's allergic to peanuts. Ethan's stomach dropped. What? Amara moved fast. She grabbed Landon's cracker and pulled it away from his mouth. Landon, baby, did you eat any of this? He shook his head, confused. Not yet. Good. Don't. She turned to Ethan. Her eyes were furious. How could you not ask about allergies? I didn't think. That's the problem. You didn't think. Ethan felt like the floor was falling out from under him. Amara, I'm sorry. I didn't know. You should have asked. Luke started crying. The yelling scared him. Amara immediately softened. She crouched down and pulled Luke into a hug. It's okay, baby. Mama's not mad at you. I'm just upset. Is Landon gonna be okay? Luke asked through tears. Yes, he's fine. He didn't eat any. Landon looked at Ethan with wide, uncertain eyes. Ethan felt sick. Amara, I'm so sorry. I swear I didn't know. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them, the anger had faded, but the fear was still there. I know, she said quietly. I know you didn't mean to, but this is what I'm talking about, Ethan. You can't make mistakes like this. Not with them. I won't. I swear I won't. She stood and threw the crackers in the trash. Then she pulled out her phone and showed him a note. This is a list of everything they're allergic to. Landon has peanuts and shellfish. Luke has a mild dairy sensitivity. Read it. Memorize it. Don't ever bring food without checking again. I won't. She forwarded the note to his phone. And if you're ever unsure, ask me. Always ask me. I will. The boys watched them nervously. Amara sat on the floor between them. Everything's okay. Mr. Ethan made a mistake, but we fixed it. No one's hurt. Are you mad at him? Luke asked. I was, but I'm not anymore. Good. I don't want you to be mad. She kissed the top of his head. Ethan sat on the floor too, a few feet away. He felt like he'd been punched in the gut. I'm really sorry, he said again. Amara looked at him. I know. Just be more careful. I will. They sat there in silence for a moment. Then Landon crawled over to Ethan and sat next to him. It's okay, Landon said softly. Everyone makes mistakes. Ethan's throat tightened. He looked at this little boy, his son, who was trying to make him feel better. Thank you, Ethan whispered. Landon leaned his head against Ethan's arm, and Ethan realized he would do anything to protect these kids. Anything. That night, Ethan sat in his condo staring at the allergy list. He read it over and over until he had it memorized. Then he texted Amara. I'm sorry again. I'll be more careful, I promise, she replied a few minutes later. I know. Thank you for understanding. He stared at the message. Then he typed, Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you ever get scared? Like, what if you mess up? Her response took longer. Every single day. But you can't let the fear stop you. You just have to do your best and hope it's enough. Ethan read her words 3 times. You're a good mom. I'm trying. You're more than trying. You're incredible. She didn't respond after that, but Ethan hoped she believed it. A few days later, Mark showed up at Ethan's office unannounced. We need to talk, Mark said. Ethan looked up from his laptop. About what? About the fact that you've been leaving early every other day for the past 2 weeks. I told you. I'm seeing the boys. I know, and that's great. But we have clients, Ethan. We have deadlines. I'm handling it. Are you? Mark sat down. Because Jenkins called me yesterday asking where you were. You missed a meeting. Ethan winced. I didn't miss it. I rescheduled it. Without telling him first. I forgot. Mark sighed. Look, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I think what you're doing with the kids is amazing, but you can't let the business fall apart. I'm not. Then prove it. Get your head back in the game. Ethan rubbed his face. I'm trying to balance everything. I know, but balance doesn't mean dropping the ball on one side. Mark left, and Ethan sat there feeling the weight of it all. He wanted to be there for the boys, but he also had responsibilities, bills to pay, clients to manage, a company to run. How was he supposed to do both? That afternoon, Ethan went to Amara's apartment, but he was distracted, stressed. The boys noticed. Mr. Ethan, Are you sad? Landon asked. No, buddy, I'm just thinking. About what? Grown-up stuff. Luke climbed into his lap. You should stop thinking. Thinking is boring. Ethan smiled despite himself. You're probably right. Amara was watching from the kitchen. When the boys ran off to play, she walked over. You okay? She asked. Yeah, just work stuff. Do you need to go? No, I'm here. I'm good. But she didn't look convinced. They played for an hour. Then Amara suggested they take a walk. The four of them walked to a small cafe a few blocks away. The boys ordered hot chocolate. Amara got tea. Ethan got coffee. They sat outside at a small table. The boys drew pictures on napkins with crayons the waitress gave them. This is nice, Amara said quietly. Yeah, you've been showing up, consistently. I didn't think you would. I told you I would. People say a lot of things. Ethan looked at her. I'm not people. I'm starting to see that. Their eyes held for a moment. Something passed between them, something old and familiar and complicated. Mama, look! Luke held up his napkin. He'd drawn a stick figure family. That's beautiful, baby. Who's that? That's you. And me. And Landon. And Mr. Ethan. Amara's breath caught. Ethan stared at the drawing. 4 stick figures holding hands. Can we keep it? Luke asked. Yeah, Amara said softly. We can keep it. Later that week, Mark stopped by Ethan's condo with a box. What's this? Ethan asked. Your dad's stuff. From the storage unit. Remember? We cleared it out last month. Ethan had forgotten. His father had passed away 2 years ago. Ethan had put off dealing with his things. I don't really want to go through that right now, Ethan said. You should. There's some paperwork you need to sign, and some personal stuff you might want to keep. Mark set the box on the table and left. Ethan stared at it for a long time before opening it. Inside, there were old photos, documents, his father's watch, and at the bottom, a stack of mail. Ethan pulled it out. Most of it was junk, bills, advertisements, but one envelope caught his eye. It was addressed to him, at his father's house, dated 6 years ago. The return address was an email forwarding service. Ethan opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a printed email from Amara Wells to Ethan Cole. Subject, we need to talk. Ethan's heart stopped. Ethan, I hope this reaches you. I tried your phone, but the number doesn't work anymore. I tried social media, but you're not there either. So I'm sending this to your old email and hoping it forwards somewhere. I don't know how to say this except to just say it. I'm pregnant. It's yours. I found out 2 days ago. I know we didn't end things well. I know you were angry when I left school. But I need you to know about this. I need to know what you want to do. Please call me, or email me, or something. Amara. There was a photo attached. A grainy ultrasound. 2 tiny shapes. Twins. Ethan's hands shook so hard he almost dropped the paper. She'd tried to tell him. She'd sent this email. And somehow, it had been forwarded to his father's house instead of to him. His father must have gotten it, printed it, and never told him. Why? Ethan didn't know. His father had been controlling, distant, disapproving of Amara when Ethan had mentioned her once. Maybe he thought he was protecting Ethan. Maybe he thought it was a mistake. It didn't matter now. What mattered was that Amara had tried. She'd reached out, and Ethan had never known. He grabbed his keys and drove to her apartment. Amara opened the door in surprise. Ethan, what are you doing here? It's almost 9. I need to show you something. Her eyes widened at his expression. Are you okay? No. She stepped aside. The boys are asleep. Come in. He walked to the kitchen and set the printed email on the table. Amara looked at it. Her face went white. Where did you get this? She whispered. My dad's storage unit. He must have gotten it when it was forwarded. He never told me. Oh my God. You really did try to tell me. I told you I did. I know, but I didn't. I didn't understand how hard you tried. And I didn't know that someone kept it from me. Amara sank into a chair. Tears streamed down her face. I thought you ignored me, she said. I thought you didn't care. I never got it. I swear to God, Amara, I never saw this until tonight. She covered her face with her hands and sobbed. Ethan knelt beside her. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. It feels like my fault. She looked at him through her tears. We lost so much time. I know. The boys could have had a father from the beginning. I know. And we could have. She stopped herself. What? Nothing. Amara. We could have been a family. Her voice broke. We could have figured it out together. Ethan reached for her hand. She let him take it. I'm here now, he said. I know, but it doesn't change the past. No, but maybe we can change the future. She looked at him. Her eyes were red and swollen, but there was something else there too. Hope. Mama? They both turned. Landon stood in the hallway in his pajamas, rubbing his eyes. What's wrong, Mama? He asked. Amara wiped her face quickly. Nothing, baby. Mama's just sad about something. Why? Grown-up stuff. Landon walked over and climbed into her lap. He wrapped his arms around her neck. Luke appeared a moment later. I heard crying. Everyone's okay, Amara said. Come here. Luke crawled into her lap too. She held both boys close. Ethan watched them. His throat was tight. His chest ached. Mr. Ethan, are you sad too? Landon asked. A little. You should come here. Ethan hesitated, but Amara nodded. He moved closer. Landon reached out and grabbed his hand. And for the first time in 6 years, they all sat together. Not quite a family yet, but getting close. The next morning, Ethan showed up with breakfast. Not just any breakfast. He'd texted Amara at 6 in the morning, asking what the boys liked. Then he'd gone to 3 different places to get it right. Pancakes from the diner on 5th Street. Fresh fruit from the farmer's market. Orange juice with no pulp, because Luke hated pulp. And he'd checked every ingredient twice. When Amara opened the door, she stared at the bags in his hands. What is all this? She asked. Breakfast. I wanted to do something nice. Her eyes softened. You didn't have to. I wanted to. The boys came running. They smelled the pancakes immediately. Is that food? Luke asked. Yeah, buddy. Pancakes. Yes. Luke pumped his fist in the air. They all sat at the small kitchen table. It was crowded but cozy. The boys devoured the pancakes. Amara ate slowly, watching Ethan with an expression he couldn't quite read. This is really good, she said. Thanks. I wasn't sure if I got the right kind. You did. Landon reached for another pancake. Can Mr. Ethan eat breakfast with us every day? Amara glanced at Ethan. He has to work, baby. He can't come every day. Why not? Because grown-ups have jobs. But Mama, you work and you're here every day. That's different, Luke chimed in. I think Mr. Ethan should live here. Then he could eat with us all the time. Ethan's heart stopped. Amara's cheeks flushed. Luke, that's not how it works. Why not? Because Mr. Ethan has his own home, but we have space. He could sleep on the couch. Luke, or in your room, Mama. Amara's face turned bright red. Okay, that's enough. Finish your breakfast. Ethan bit back a smile. He didn't dare look at Amara. After breakfast, they decided to go to the zoo. It was Saturday. The weather was perfect. And the boys had been begging to see the animals. Ethan drove. Amara sat in the passenger seat. The boys were strapped into their car seats in the back, chattering excitedly. Have you been to the zoo before? Amara asked. Not since I was a kid. It's changed a lot. They have a new penguin exhibit. I like penguins, Ethan said. She smiled. Me too. It felt easy, natural, like they'd done this 100 times before. At the zoo, Luke wanted to see everything at once. Landon wanted to take his time and read the signs. Ethan carried Landon on his shoulders so he could see better. The boy's small hands rested on top of Ethan's head. You okay, up there? Ethan asked. Yeah, I can see everything. They stopped at the lion exhibit. A massive male lion lay in the sun, completely unbothered by the crowd. He's so big, Luke whispered. He's the king of the jungle, Amara said. I want to be a lion when I grow up. You'd be a good lion. They moved through the zoo slowly. Ethan bought the boys stuffed animals from the gift shop. A lion for Luke, a penguin for Landon. You don't have to buy them things every time, Amara said quietly. I know, but I want to, Ethan. I missed 4 years. Let me do this. She didn't argue after that. They stopped at a cafe inside the zoo for lunch. The boys ate chicken nuggets and fries. Amara had a salad. Ethan had a sandwich he barely tasted. He was too busy watching them. The way Luke talked with his mouth full. The way Landon carefully arranged his fries in a line before eating them. The way Amara smiled at both of them with so much love it hurt to see. "What?" she asked, noticing him staring. "Nothing. I'm just happy." "Yeah? Yeah?" She looked down at her salad. "Me too." After lunch, they walked to the petting zoo. The boys fed goats and brushed a very patient sheep. Landon held Ethan's hand the whole time. It was such a small thing, but it meant everything. On the way out, they stopped to take a photo. A staff member offered to take it for them. "Say cheese," the woman said. They all smiled. Ethan stood behind Amara with a boy on each side. His hand rested lightly on Amara's shoulder. When the woman showed them the photo, Ethan's breath caught. They looked like a family. "Can you send that to me?" Amara asked. "Of course." That night, after Ethan dropped them off, he sat in his car and stared at the photo on his phone. For the first time in 6 years, he felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. A few days later, Amara's neighbor Maya invited her to a pottery class. "Just for a couple hours," Maya said. "I know you never get time for yourself." Amara hesitated. "I don't know." "The boys, I can watch them," Ethan offered. She turned to him. They were sitting on her couch while the boys played in their room. "You sure?" she asked. "Yeah, I'll be fine. It's not just playing with them, Ethan. It's making sure they eat, and cleaning up messes, and handling tantrums if they happen. I can do that." She studied him. "Okay, but I'll only be gone 2 hours. And I'll have my phone. We'll be fine." She looked nervous, but she agreed. Maya picked her up at 4. The boys waved from the window. "Bye, Mama," Luke shouted. "Be good," she called back. Then it was just Ethan and the boys. For about 10 seconds, everything was fine. Then Luke spilled juice all over the kitchen floor. "Oops," Luke said. Ethan grabbed paper towels. "It's okay. Accidents happen." He cleaned it up while Luke apologized 5 times. "It's really okay, buddy. It's just juice. Mama's gonna be mad." "No, she won't. We cleaned it up." Luke seemed relieved. An hour later, Landon announced he was tired. Ethan found him curled up on the couch with his penguin. "You want to take a nap?" Ethan asked. Landon nodded. "Okay, come here." Ethan sat on the couch, and Landon climbed into his lap. Within minutes, the boy was asleep. Ethan stayed completely still. He was afraid to move, afraid to wake him. Luke appeared with a book. "Can you read to me?" "Sure, but quietly. Your brother's sleeping." Luke nodded and climbed up next to Ethan. Ethan read in a low voice. Luke leaned against his side, listening intently. At some point, Luke fell asleep too. Ethan sat there with both boys draped across him, one on his chest, one tucked under his arm. His back hurt. His legs were going numb, but he didn't move. When Amara came home an hour later, she found them exactly like that. She stood in the doorway, her hand over her mouth. Ethan looked up and smiled. "Hey," he whispered. "Hey." Her voice was soft, emotional. "How was the class?" "Good. How were they?" "Perfect." She walked closer. She looked at Landon sleeping on his chest, at Luke curled against his side. "You're a natural," she said. "I don't know about that." "I do." Their eyes met, and something shifted. Something deep and undeniable. "Thank you," she said, "for being here, for trying." "I'm not trying anymore, Amara. I'm just here." She nodded. Then she carefully lifted Luke into her arms. "Come on, baby. Let's get you to bed." Ethan followed with Landon. They tucked the boys into their beds, pulled the blankets up, turned on the nightlight. Then they stood in the hallway together. "Do you want to stay for dinner?" Amara asked. "I was going to make pasta." "Yeah, I'd like that." They cooked together. It felt comfortable, easy. Amara boiled the pasta. Ethan made the salad. They moved around the small kitchen like they'd been doing this for years. "You're good at this," she said. "At what?" "Chopping vegetables." He smiled. "I took a cooking class once, thought it would impress dates. Did it work?" "Not really. I'm a terrible cook." She laughed. The sound filled the kitchen. They ate at the table, talked about small things, work, the weather, funny things the boys had said. Luke told his teacher, "I'm a superhero," Amara said. "You kind of are." She rolled her eyes. "Stop. I'm serious. You're raising 2 kids alone. Working full-time. You barely sleep. That's superhero stuff. Her smile faded. I don't feel like a superhero. Most days I feel like I'm barely keeping it together. You're doing more than keeping it together. Am I? She set down her fork. Some days I wonder if I'm messing them up. If they'll grow up and resent me for not giving them a normal family. Amara, I know it's not my fault. I know I did the best I could. But it doesn't stop me from worrying. Ethan reached across the table and took her hand. They love you. Anyone can see that. And they're happy. That's what matters. I want them to have everything. They have you. That's already everything. Tears welled in her eyes. Why are you being so nice to me? Because you deserve it. She pulled her hand back and wiped her eyes. Sorry. I don't know why I'm crying. It's okay. No, it's not. You didn't sign up for this. Actually, I did. The second I saw those wristbands. She looked at him. Really looked at him. You've changed. Yeah. I think I have. The old Ethan would have run. I know. What made you different? He thought about it. Them. You. Realizing, I've been running my whole life, and I'm tired of it. Amara smiled through her tears. I'm glad you stopped running. Me too. They finished dinner, washed the dishes together, and when it was time for Ethan to leave, he hesitated at the door. Can I come by tomorrow? He asked. You don't have to ask anymore. You're always welcome. Yeah? Yeah. He left feeling lighter than he had in years. But 2 days later, everything fell apart. Ethan had promised to pick the boys up from daycare at 5 o'clock. Amara had a shift that ran late. She'd arranged to take her break at 5:30 so they could all meet at the park nearby. Ethan had confirmed it 3 times, but at 4:30, his assistant walked into his office with bad news. Mr. Jenkins is here, she said. He doesn't have an appointment, but he's insisting on seeing you. Tell him I can't. I have somewhere to be. He's threatening to pull his investment. Ethan closed his eyes. Jenkins was one of their biggest clients. Losing him would cost the company hundreds of thousands of dollars. Give me 5 minutes, Ethan said. He called Amara. She didn't answer. She was probably with a patient. He texted her. Something came up at work. Can you get the boys? He stared at his phone. She didn't respond. 5 minutes turned into 10, then 20. Jenkins wanted to renegotiate terms. He wanted changes to the contract. He wanted answers Ethan didn't have prepared. Ethan kept glancing at the clock. 5 o'clock came and went. His phone rang. Amara. He stepped out of the conference room to answer. Ethan, where are you? Her voice was tight. I'm at the office. I'm so sorry. A client showed up and, you promised. I know, I'm trying to get out of here, but the daycare closes at 6. If no one picks them up, they charge a fee. And they call child services. His stomach dropped. What? Where are you? I'm 20 minutes away. I'm 15 minutes away, but my shift doesn't end for another hour. I can't leave. I'll get there. I promise. You already promised, Ethan. The line went dead. Ethan went back into the conference room. I have to go. We're not finished. Jenkins said, I have an emergency. This is an emergency. If we don't finalize this today, I'm walking. Mark shot Ethan a warning look. Ethan hesitated. Then he made his choice. I'm sorry, Mr. Jenkins. We'll have to reschedule. He grabbed his jacket and ran. He broke every speed limit, ran 2 red lights, and pulled into the daycare parking lot at 5:57. He burst through the doors. A woman at the front desk looked up in alarm. Can I help you? I'm here for Landon and Luke Wells. And you are? Their father, Ethan Cole. She frowned. You're not on the pickup list. What? Only approved individuals can pick up children. Their mother is Dr. Amara Wells. Call her. She'll tell you. The woman made the call. Amara answered immediately. Yes, he's approved, Amara said. Ethan could hear the anger in her voice, even from across the room. Let him take them. The woman hung up. Sign here. Ethan signed. She led him to a room where the boys sat with a teacher. They looked small, worried. Landon, Luke, your dad is here, the woman said. The boys looked up. Landon's eyes were red like he'd been crying. Mr. Ethan. Luke ran over. You're late. I know. I'm so sorry. Where's Mama? She's still at work. She sent me to get you. Landon walked over slowly. We thought no one was coming. Ethan crouched down. I would never leave you here, buddy. I'm sorry I was late. You promised you'd be here at 5. I know. Something happened at work, but I'm here now. Landon didn't look convinced. Ethan drove them to the park where Amara was waiting. She sat on a bench in her scrubs, her arms crossed. She looked furious. The boys ran to her. "Mama!" She hugged them tightly. "You guys okay?" "Yeah. Mr. Ethan was late, but he came." "I know, baby." She looked up at Ethan. Her eyes were cold. "Can we talk?" he asked. "Boys, go play on the swings. Stay where I can see you." They ran off. Amara stood. "What the hell, Ethan?" "I'm sorry. A client showed up and I don't care about your client. He was threatening to walk. I had to handle it." "No, you had to be at that daycare at 5 o'clock. That's what you had to do, Amara. Do you know what it's like to get a call from daycare saying no one showed up? Do you know what that does to me? I screwed up." "I know. Screwing up isn't an option when you have kids, Ethan. You don't get second chances with them. I'm here now. You're 45 minutes late." "I got here as fast as I could." "That's not good enough." Her voice broke. "I can't do this if you're not reliable." "I am reliable." "No, you're not. You're still putting your work first. That's not fair, isn't it?" She stepped closer. "You said you wanted to be all in, but the second something comes up, you choose the business. It's not that simple." "Yes, it is. Either you're here or you're not. There's no in between." Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "What do you want me to do? Quit my job? Walk away from everything I built? I want you to show up when you say you will." "I'm trying." Trying isn't enough. The words hung between them. The boys' laughter echoed from the swings. But here, it felt like the world was ending. "I'm sorry," Ethan said again. "I don't know what else to say." "I don't either." Amara walked toward the swings. Ethan stood there, helpless. He'd let them down, and he didn't know how to fix it. That night, Ethan sat alone in his condo. Mark called. Ethan didn't answer. His assistant emailed. He didn't respond. He just sat there, staring at the photo from the zoo, the 4 of them smiling, happy. He thought about Landon's face when he'd said, "You promised." He thought about Amara's voice when she'd said, "Trying isn't enough." She was right. He'd spent his whole life building this business, chasing success, proving to himself and everyone else that he was worth something. But what was it worth if he lost them? Around midnight, Mark showed up. "You didn't answer your phone," Mark said. "I know." Jenkins left. He pulled his investment. "I figured." "That's it? That's all you have to say?" Ethan looked at him. "I made a choice. Yeah, the wrong one. I chose the boys. You were too late." "I know." Ethan's voice cracked. "I know I was too late. But I tried, Mark. I left the meeting. I drove as fast as I could. It wasn't fast enough. So, what am I supposed to do?" "What do you want from me?" Mark sat down. His expression softened. "I want you to figure out what matters. They matter. Then prove it. Not with words. With action." "I don't know how." "Yeah, you do. You're just scared." Ethan dropped his head into his hands. "I'm terrified." "Of what?" "Failing. Letting them down. Being like my dad." "You're not your dad." "How do you know?" "Because your dad wouldn't have left that meeting. He wouldn't have even tried." Ethan looked up. "I'm losing them, Mark." "Not yet. But you will if you don't change." "How?" "You already know how." Mark left. And Ethan sat there until dawn. He thought about his father, about how work had always come first, about how Ethan had grown up feeling like an obligation instead of a son. He didn't want that for Landon and Luke. He didn't want them to wonder if they mattered. So, he made a decision. The next morning, Ethan showed up at Amara's apartment at 7. She opened the door in her robe, coffee mug in hand. Her eyes widened. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I need to talk to you. The boys are still sleeping." "I know. This is just for you." She stepped aside. He walked in. "I'm sorry about yesterday," he started. "Ethan, let me finish, please." She nodded. "You were right. I put work first. And I can't do that anymore." He pulled out his phone and showed her his calendar. "I blocked off every afternoon from 4 to 8. No meetings, no calls, nothing. Ethan, I talked to Mark this morning. We're hiring someone to take over my travel schedule. I'm cutting back to 40 hours a week. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. Because you were right. Trying isn't enough. I have to actually do it. Amara's eyes filled with tears. I'm not perfect, Ethan continued. I'm going to mess up again, but I promise I'll keep trying to do better, and I'll never leave them waiting like that again. She set down her coffee mug. Why? Because they deserve better. And so do you, Ethan. And because I'm falling in love with them, with you, with this whole messy, complicated life. And I don't want to lose it. Amara covered her mouth. Tears streamed down her face. I know I hurt you, Ethan said, 6 years ago and yesterday. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. She walked over and put her arms around him. He held her tight. Don't let me down again, she whispered. I won't. Promise me. I promise. They stood there in her tiny kitchen, holding each other, while the morning light streamed through the windows. And for the first time, Ethan felt like he was finally home. The next Saturday, Ethan showed up early. Not just on time. Early. He brought coffee for Amara and cinnamon rolls from the bakery the boys loved. He'd checked the ingredients 3 times. When Amara opened the door, she smiled. You're here. I said I would be. I know, but... She paused. It's nice. The boys came running. They'd been waiting by the window. Mr. Ethan. Luke crashed into his legs. We're going to soccer today. I know, buddy. I'm excited. Landon hung back, still cautious, but his eyes were bright. Hi, Landon, Ethan said gently. Hi. You ready for soccer? Landon nodded. They ate breakfast together. The boys talked over each other, telling Ethan about everything that had happened since he'd last seen them. A butterfly at school, a new song they'd learned, a scrape on Luke's knee from falling off the slide. Ethan listened to every word. After breakfast, they drove to the soccer field. It was a beginner class for kids under 5. The boys wore matching yellow jerseys. They looked so small on that big field. Stay together, Amara called as they ran onto the grass. The class started. The coach was patient and kind. The kids kicked balls in every direction except the goal. Some of them sat down in the middle of the field. One kid cried. But Luke and Landon tried their best. Ethan stood on the sideline next to Amara. Other parents were scattered around. Some had folding chairs. Some held younger siblings. Luke's got good aim, Ethan said. He practices kicking everything. Toys, shoes, my shin once. Ethan laughed. What about Landon? He's more careful. He thinks about it before he kicks. Like you, she glanced at him. Yeah, like me. They watched in comfortable silence. The morning sun was warm. Birds chirped in the trees behind them. Kids shouted and laughed on the field. It felt normal, like they'd been doing this together for years. Luke kicked the ball toward the goal. It went wide, but he cheered anyway. Good try, Luke, Ethan shouted. Luke turned and waved. Landon kicked next. His ball went straight toward the goal. The coach clapped. Nice one, Landon, Amara called. Landon smiled. Then he looked at Ethan. You too, Mr. Ethan. Did you see? I saw. That was amazing. Landon's smile grew wider. After class, the boys ran over, sweaty and breathless. Did you see my goal? Luke asked. It wasn't a goal, Landon corrected. It went over there. It was close. Boys, Amara said, you both did great. Can we get ice cream? Luke asked. Amara hesitated. It's almost lunchtime. Please. What if we get lunch first, then ice cream after? Ethan suggested. Luke considered this. Okay. They went to a small diner nearby. The boys ordered grilled cheese. Amara got a salad. Ethan got a burger. They sat in a booth. The boys on one side, Amara and Ethan on the other. It felt right. Halfway through lunch, Landon looked at Ethan. Mr. Ethan? Yeah, buddy? Are you going to keep coming to soccer? Do you want me to? Landon nodded. Yeah, then I'll be there. Every week. Promise? Ethan met Amara's eyes. She gave him a small nod. I promise, Ethan said. Landon smiled and went back to his grilled cheese. After lunch, they walked to the ice cream shop 2 blocks away. The boys got chocolate, Amara got strawberry, Ethan got vanilla. They sat on a bench outside and watched people walk by. This is a good day, Luke announced. Yeah, Amara agreed. It is. Landon leaned against Ethan's side. He didn't say anything. but he stayed there until his ice cream was gone. On the walk back to the car, Luke grabbed Ethan's hand. Then Landon grabbed his other hand. Amara walked beside them, watching. When they got home, the boys wanted to play in the courtyard. Other kids from the building were outside too. "Can we, Mama?" Luke asked. "Okay, but stay where I can see you." "We will." They ran off. Amara and Ethan sat on a bench nearby. She pulled out her phone and scrolled through messages. Ethan watched the boys play. "Thank you for today," Amara said after a while. "You don't have to thank me. I do. You showed up, on time, ready. That means something. It should be normal. Maybe, but it's not. Not for us." Ethan looked at her. "I want it to be normal. Me too." Their eyes held. Something passed between them, something warm and careful, and full of possibility. "Amara." "Yeah? Can I ask you something?" "Sure. Do you ever think about us? About what we were?" She was quiet for a long moment. "All the time." Yeah. She looked down at her hands. "We were good together, Ethan. Before everything fell apart. I know, but I don't know if we can go back to that. I don't want to go back. I want to move forward." She met his eyes. "What does that mean?" "I don't know yet, but I think we could figure it out. Ethan, I'm not asking for anything right now. I just want you to know I never stopped caring about you." Her breath caught. "You hurt me. I know. You left, and I know you didn't mean to. I know it wasn't your fault. But it still hurt. I'm sorry. I know you are." She wiped her eyes. "I'm not ready for more yet. I need to see that you're really here. Not just for a few weeks, but for the long haul. I understand. Do you? Yeah. You need to protect yourself. And them. I get it." She nodded. "Thank you." They sat in silence. The boys played. The sun moved lower in the sky, and Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in years. Peace. Over the next 2 weeks, Ethan kept showing up. Soccer on Saturday mornings, visits every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, phone calls before bedtime when he couldn't be there in person. He learned their bedtime routine, brush teeth, put on pajamas, pick out a story, read until they fell asleep. He learned their favorite shows, their least favorite foods, what made them laugh, what scared them. He learned how to braid hair when Luke got gum stuck in his, how to calm Landon when he had a nightmare, how to negotiate with 2 4-year-olds who both wanted the same toy. It was exhausting, frustrating, messy. It was also the best thing he'd ever done. One evening, Amara asked if he wanted to stay for dinner. They'd cooked together twice before. But this time felt different. "I'm making spaghetti," she said. "Nothing fancy. Sounds perfect." He helped her cook. They moved around the small kitchen like a team now. She boiled water. He made the sauce. She grated cheese. He set the table. The boys colored at the table while they waited. "Mr. Ethan, can you draw a car?" Luke asked. "I'm not very good at drawing." "That's okay. Just try." Ethan drew a lopsided car. Luke loved it. Landon watched quietly. Then he slid his paper over. "Can you draw me a house?" "Sure, buddy." Ethan drew a simple house with a triangle roof and square windows. "Who lives there?" Landon asked. "Who do you want to live there?" Landon thought about it. "A family." "What kind of family?" "A mama, and 2 kids, and—" he paused, "and a dad." Ethan's throat tightened. "That sounds like a good family." "Yeah." Amara brought the food to the table. They ate together. The boys told stories. Amara laughed at their jokes. Ethan felt like he was exactly where he belonged. After dinner, Amara washed dishes. Ethan dried. The boys played in the living room. "They're getting attached to you," Amara said quietly. "Is that bad?" "I don't know. It scares me." "Why?" "Because if you leave, it'll break their hearts." "I'm not leaving." "You keep saying that." "Because it's true." She handed him a plate. "I want to believe you." "Then believe me." "It's not that simple." "Why not?" She turned to face him. "Because I'm scared, Ethan. I'm scared of letting you in. I'm scared of what happens if this doesn't work. I'm scared of—" "Of what?" "Of falling for you again." The words hung in the air. Ethan set down the dish towel. "Would that be so bad?" "Yes, because I don't know if I can survive losing you twice." "You won't lose me." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do." "How?" "Because I love you." Amara's eyes went wide. "What?" I love you. I never stopped, even when I didn't know where you were, even when I thought you'd left me. I loved you. And now that I'm here, now that I know the truth, I love you even more. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Ethan, you don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. She covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook. Ethan stepped closer. Hey, it's okay. It's not okay, because I love you too. And that terrifies me. He gently pulled her hands away from her face. Why does it terrify you? Because what if it's not enough? What if we try and it doesn't work? Then we figure it out, together. I have kids now, Ethan. I can't just think about myself. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to think about us. All four of us. She looked toward the living room where the boys were playing. They need stability. I know. They need someone who won't leave. I'm not leaving. Promise me. Really promise me. Not just words. I promise, with everything I have, I'm here, for you, for them, for all of this. Amara searched his face, looking for doubt, for cracks, for any sign he didn't mean it. She didn't find any. Okay, she whispered. Okay? Okay. Let's try. Ethan pulled her into his arms. She wrapped her arms around his waist and held on tight. Mama? They pulled apart. Luke stood in the doorway. Yeah, baby? Why are you crying? Happy tears. Why are you happy? Amara glanced at Ethan. He nodded. Because Mr. Ethan is going to be around more. A lot more. Is that okay with you? Luke's face lit up. Really? Really? Yes! Luke pumped his fist. Landon! Mr. Ethan is staying. Landon appeared. He looked at Ethan. Forever? Ethan crouched down. Yeah, buddy. Forever. Landon ran over and hugged him. Luke joined a second later. Ethan held them both. His eyes burned with tears he didn't try to hide. Amara watched them, her hand over her heart. And something that had been broken for 6 years finally started to heal. The next day was Sunday. They spent it at the park. Not for soccer, just to be together. The boys ran around. They played on the swings. They fed ducks at the pond. They collected rocks and showed Ethan each one like it was treasure. At one point, Landon tugged on Ethan's sleeve. Mr. Ethan, yeah? Can I ask you something? Of course. Landon looked nervous. He glanced at his brother. Luke nodded encouragingly. We were wondering. Landon's voice was soft. Can we call you Dad? Ethan's world stopped. He looked at Amara. She had tears in her eyes, but she was smiling. He looked back at Landon. You want to call me Dad? If that's okay. Yeah, Ethan said. His voice broke. Yeah, that's more than okay. Really? Really? Luke jumped up and down. Yes, we have a dad now. Landon smiled. A real, full smile. Hi, Dad. Ethan pulled them both into a hug. He held them close and let the tears fall. Hi, boys, he whispered. Amara walked over and put her hand on his shoulder. He looked up at her. Thank you, he said. For what? For giving me this chance. For letting me be their dad. For everything. She leaned down and kissed the top of his head. You earned it. A few weeks later, they hosted a small brunch at Amara's apartment. Mark came. And Jessa. And Maya. And Mrs. Grady from downstairs, who'd stopped being suspicious and started bringing cookies. The apartment was crowded and loud. The boys ran around showing everyone their drawings. Amara made pancakes and eggs. Ethan poured coffee. It was chaotic, beautiful, perfect. This is nice, Mark said to Ethan. You look happy. I am. Different than before. Yeah, good different. The best different. Mark clinked his coffee mug against Ethan's. Proud of you, man. Later, after everyone left, they cleaned up together. The boys were watching a movie in their room. Their voices drifted down the hall. That went well, Amara said. Yeah. Mrs. Grady offered to babysit next weekend. Really? Yeah. She said we should have a date night. Ethan looked at her. A date night? Amara's cheeks flushed. If you want. Are you asking me on a date? Maybe, he smiled. Then yes. Absolutely yes. She laughed. Okay, Saturday night, 7 o'clock. It's a date. They finished cleaning. The sun was setting outside. Golden light filled the apartment. Ethan pulled Amara close. She rested her head on his chest. I'm scared, she whispered. Of what? That I'll wake up and this will all be a dream. It's not a dream. How do you know? Because I'm right here, and I'm not going anywhere. She tilted her head up. He looked down at her, and then he kissed her. It was soft, gentle, full of everything they'd lost and found again. When they pulled apart, she smiled. I've missed that. Me too. Don't stop, okay? Never. Saturday night came. Mrs. Grady showed up at 6:30 with a bag of activities for the boys. You two take your time, she said. We'll be just fine. The boys hugged Amara and Ethan goodbye. Have fun, Mama, Luke said. Be good for Mrs. Grady. We will. Ethan drove them to a small Italian restaurant downtown. It wasn't fancy, but it was quiet and intimate. They sat across from each other. Candles flickered on the table. I'm nervous, Amara admitted. Why? I haven't been on a date in 4 years. Neither have I, really. I was too busy building the business, and then I was too busy thinking about you. She smiled. That's sweet. It's true. They ordered wine, pasta, salad. They talked about everything, their past, their present, their hopes for the future. What do you want? Amara asked. Like, long term, with us? Yeah, Ethan reached across the table and took her hand. I want everything. Marriage, more kids if you want them, a house with a yard, family dinners, bedtime stories. All of it. That's a lot. Too much? No. She squeezed his hand. It's perfect. What about you? What do you want? Honestly, I just want stability. I want the boys to feel safe. I want to come home at the end of the day and know you'll be there. I will be. And I want to stop being scared. Of what? Of losing this. Of it falling apart. It won't. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Because I'm choosing this. Every day, I'm choosing you and the boys. Nothing is more important than that. Tears filled her eyes. You really mean that? With everything I have. She leaned across the table and kissed him. I love you. I love you too. They finished dinner, walked through downtown, held hands under the streetlights. This was nice, Amara said. Yeah, we should do it more often. Mrs. Grady will love that. Ethan laughed. She's adopted us, hasn't she? Completely. They picked up the boys at 9. Mrs. Grady reported they'd been angels. The boys were half asleep on the couch. Ethan carried Landon to bed. Amara carried Luke. They tucked them in together. Good night, Dad, Landon mumbled. Good night, buddy. Love you. Love you too. Ethan stood in the doorway, watching them sleep, feeling overwhelmed by how much he loved them. Amara came up behind him and wrapped her arms around his waist. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For being the father they deserve. I'm just doing my best. That's all we can do. They went back to the living room, sat on the couch together. She leaned against his shoulder. I never thought I'd have this, she said. Have what? A partner, someone to share this with. You have me now. Yeah, I do. Months passed. The seasons changed. Summer turned to fall. Ethan moved into a bigger place, one with 3 bedrooms and a yard. He asked Amara and the boys if they wanted to come see it. Why 3 bedrooms? Amara asked as they walked through. One for me, one for the boys when they stay over, and one for the future. She looked at him. The future? Yeah, when you're ready. Ready for what? He pulled a small box from his pocket. Amara's breath caught. Ethan, I'm not asking today, not yet, but I wanted you to know I'm serious about all of this, about us. He opened the box. A simple diamond ring sat inside. When you're ready, he said. No pressure, no timeline. Just know that I'm here, and I'm waiting. Tears streamed down her face. You really want to marry me? More than anything, even with all the complications, the schedules, the chaos, especially with all that. She laughed through her tears. You're crazy. Probably. I'm scared. I know. But I think, she paused, I think I'm ready. Yeah? Yeah. He got down on one knee, right there in the empty living room. Amara Wells, will you marry me? Yes. He slid the ring on her finger. Then he stood and kissed her. Mama, Dad, come look. They pulled apart. The boys were in the backyard. What are they doing out there? Amara asked. They walked to the window. Luke and Landon were running through the grass, chasing each other, laughing. They look happy, Ethan said. They are happy. So am I. Me too. 6 months later, they got married in a small ceremony at the park where they'd spent so many afternoons. The boys were ring bearers. Mark was the best man. Jessa was the maid of honor. Mrs. Grady cried through the whole thing. Amara wore a simple white dress. Ethan wore a suit. The boys wore matching bow ties. They said their vows under a tree, promised to love each other, to show up, to choose each other every single day. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," the boys cheered louder than anyone. At the reception, they danced. The boys stepped on everyone's feet, but no one cared. "This is perfect," Amara said as they swayed together. "Yeah, it is. I never thought I'd get this." "Me neither. Thank you for finding your way back to me. Thank you for letting me." She rested her head on his chest. "I love you. I love you too." Later, when the sun was setting, they took a family photo. Amara and Ethan in the middle, Landon and Luke on either side. All of them smiling, all of them together. A whole family at last. That night, after the reception, they went home, to their house, with 3 bedrooms and a yard. The boys fell asleep in the car. Ethan carried them inside, tucked them into their beds. "Good night, Dad," Landon whispered. "Good night, son. Love you. Love you too." Ethan stood in the doorway with Amara. They watched their boys sleep. "We did it," she said. "Yeah, we did. You think they'll remember all the hard parts?" "Maybe. But I think they'll remember the good parts more. I hope so." Ethan pulled her close. "You know what I think?" "What?" "I think they'll remember that we loved them, and that we chose to be a family. Everything else is just details." Amara smiled. "You're right. They went to their room, their home, their life together. It hadn't been easy. The road to get here had been long and painful and full of mistakes, but they'd made it, and every day they would keep choosing each other, every single day. Because that's what love was. Not a moment, not a feeling, but a choice, made over and over again, and they would keep making it, together, the end.